Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I wanted to just talk through some of the most commonly bandied about advice in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is start a farm, finish a farm. I think that's really, really good advice, but I wanted to talk through what exactly that means because some of the stuff that I'm doing with this account might at first blush fly against that advice. But I think once you hear sort of my logic and my reasoning for it, that it actually makes sense the way I'm going about building up this account. So to start, let's just go with the foundation. What does start a farm, finish a farm mean? And early days, it's usually pretty simple. I'm going to farm these characters or these ships to get this thing. And then hopefully the things I had to farm are still useful along the way to me. So hopefully I end up with like once I finally get this galactic legend, I've got a secondary squad I can throw in and uh, Grand Arena, and it works just fine. Something like that. So the first farm that people usually embark on is for the Phoenix squad. So everyone but Sabine. And how this would work if you are new to the game is you get all these characters up to 7 stars, and as good as you need them to be in order to fully unlock Thrawn. So their recommendations here: 7 stars, 13,900. The kind of downside to this farm is that the Phoenix fall off really quickly once you hit level 85. The good news is the Phoenix are a perfectly adequate team to do pre 85 stuff. So they're totally workable in Squad Arena. They can put in some work for you uh, in Galactic War as well. And so that's sort of the common advice there because they not only need to Thrawn, but they also lead to the Chimera, which most people know. But the two requirements here are the Phoenix ships. So you will actually need to unlock Sabine at some point in time in order to get the Phantom 2 operational. And then the other three Phoenix that aren't included here are piloting the Ghost Hera ship. So very traditionally, you'd focus all your resources into the Phoenix and their ships until there are enough stars and enough gear that you can unlock the things you want with them. And then with Phoenix, you kind of like set them to the side, set it and forget it. Um, that's not true of all farms, but most farms are usually dictated by what the journey guide entails. And you want to zero in on starting those characters, finishing them out, and gearing them to an appropriate level before you start another farm. So here is where I a little bit disagree or want to add some nuance to start a farm, finish a farm. So what I'm trying to do with this new account is get everything I need for the Executor and everything I need for the Profundity to be the sort of like guiding light of this account. So from day one, I started focusing resources into things that I will eventually need for either the Profundity or the Executor journey, with a couple of detours on the side for just some squads that I think shore up weak points in our farm. So the way that I disagree here, especially when you're building up a brand new account, is that if my farm is the Profundity and the Executor, then it is actually more efficient to start farming some things, but stop before they're 7 stars, before they're level 85, and before they're at appropriate gear levels. And then farm the thing that just became available to me, and as necessary, just sort of like hop around and fill in these gaps. So I'll show you a little bit of what I mean here. So Cantina Battles is a perfect place here to illustrate what I'm talking about. And one of the ways that I think you could start thinking about your farm, especially if you have a new account that's not level 85 yet and there's content that's locked away to you at this point in time, I think this is a worthwhile thing to think about. So you may have noticed that I have a Hera and I think she's like 4 stars right now. Yeah, she's 4 stars exactly. And I'm not farming her right now. She's the only Phoenix person I have. Now, the reason that I have a 4-star Hera is because I was thinking we'll start a farm, finish a farm, but really the thing that's going to get me closest to an early profundity is farming a character that I'm going to need sooner than I need the Phoenix squad. So as soon as one of those becomes available in the Cantina farm, that's where I'm going to focus my resources. So here is we don't want anyone on the second stage. And then we do want Biggs Darklighter. And we're going to have a Rebel Fighters team up and running, I think, before the Phoenix. That was the intent when I started this account, at least. So our Biggs is almost 7 stars. So that will help us out greatly. And then Rebel Fighters is the third team we're putting together. So if there was anyone from my first 2 teams that I'm trying to farm up that were to become available in Cantina battles, then it makes sense for me to stop farming Biggs, just like I did with Hera, so I could start farming someone else. So once I got level 4 unlocked, or stage 4, Gideon became the focus. Gideon has a hard node farm. I have a different video going over like why I chose to only farm his Cantina once it became available. But basically, unless you're farming like a ton of Cantina characters, you're better off only spending Cantina energy to farm them, even if you have a different option, like a hard node farm, or if they're available in the Galactic War store, anything like that. So this is where I sort of like bucked traditional wisdom here. Is I have started and stopped 2 farms in Hera and Biggs, planning on picking them back up later. Now, the reason I did this is because I don't need them yet. The only 2 teams that have a significant investment in gear and that I'm actively farming with like my normal energy, unless they're also on a ship node, are Imperial Troopers and Rogue One. So I think when people say start a farm, finish a farm, a better way to contextualize it, especially for a really, really big farm. Like, I think you could apply this logic if you were doing a Supreme Leader Kylo Ren rush or like a Sith Eternal Emperor rush with a brand new account. Is it makes more sense for you to start and stop some farms as they become available for the sake of the greater good. And the greater good is having competent squads, focusing all your resources on one dark side and one light side squad so that you can easily breeze through all the content that you're seeing on light side and dark side battles, Cantina battles, and so you can make your way through Galactic War and Squad Arena pretty capably as well. And I just wanted to throw that out there as like sort of an alternate way of looking at things, of farming stuff up, and then if something that is more immediately useful to you becomes available to farm, diverting your resources all the way to that until that's fully farmed, and sort of rinsing and repeating. So that's kind of what I'm doing. The genesis of this video is I've pretty much stopped my Cantina farms for characters and my Galactic War farms for characters. As you can see, I just got ships unlocked. It's a bad time, as it always is. Right when you hit level 60, you have 0 good ships. And even though this account was focused on ships from day one, I'm no exception to that. So I'm trying to, as quick as I can, make my way through those fleet battles. So my Galactic War currency is just going towards ships. I'm pretty close to having the Ghost unlocked. So at that point, I will throw a little bit more currency here into Zeb, just so I have all the pilots and I can actually unlock the Ghost and use it. But just like I was doing with Cantina, my Cad Bane is just going to hang out at 5 stars until I have ships at a good enough point that probably 6 stars is the threshold, I think, where once my ships are at 6 stars, I'll reevaluate and see if I want to keep taking all this currency to get my ships 7 stars, or if I want to farm up some characters up to 7 stars at that point in time. The reason it's 6 stars is that will allow me to get all of the challenges unlocked and get all of your starter capital ships to 6 stars. So you're waiting for that recurring event in order to get that 7 star. So I'll just sort of have to evaluate at that point in time. But I want to really be able to make sure that, if at all possible, I can start farming those Zetas as soon as I can through those fleet challenges. And so I'm just buying ships up. You need more dark side ships. There just isn't a dark side ship that is needed for Profundity and Executor here. But like when Imperial TIE Fighter is in the Galactic War Store, I pick up those shards as well. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts there. I thought it was just an interesting twist on that old adage. And I appreciate y'all watching. Have a good rest of your day.